Welcome to Mom Boss Chronicles, the show that celebrates the incredible journey of mom bosses who are conquering the world of business and motherhood. We are your hosts, Jen,
Danielle, and Sue.
Make sure to like and subscribe and share with your mom friends today.
Welcome back to Mom Boss Chronicles, everyone. I'm really excited today to have Nicole Perrone. She is the Senior Vice President at Cross Country Mortgage. You've been in the business for over 15 years, I believe I heard. Yeah. And you also have a podcast, Billion Dollar Banker. You're also a host of American Dream TV, which I cannot wait to hear more about. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it.
You guys are amazing. This is an awesome studio. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you.
So my biggest question, I guess, first off, is how you got into the mortgage industry and like real estate as a whole.
That's so cool. Yeah, no, thank you for that. And thanks for having me again. So I got into the mortgage industry by accident. I got out of college. My mom was really proud I graduated. And then I was like, hey, Mom, I got my bachelor's in communication, radio, television, ironically. And this just here we are today. And I was like, hey, Mom, I'm going to get into like the car business. I'm going to become a car saleswoman. And she was like, why? You just went to college. Like, this is what's going to happen? Yeah. She's like, I just paid for your school. Yeah. And I was like, well, there's no jobs. It was 2007. Who remembers that, right?
Same. That was when I graduated in same.
There was no jobs. I could barely pay for gas to get around. And so I was like, I answered an ad in the paper that said, like, make $100,000 a year. And I'm like, this is perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. Yeah.
And so at that time, my gosh,
that was a lot, right? I was like, I could do it. Yeah. So I went to this sales training, and at the end of it, I was so naive and young. They were like, all right, you got a job as like a car saleswoman if you want to come join us. And I was like, I guess this sounds cool. So that's how it happened. And so I got into the car business, and that was like my first taste of sales, really. Yep. And so I learned a lot about what not to do, what to do.
For sure.
And
Did you like it?
Yeah, you know what I did? I loved it. I loved the competitiveness. I loved trying to help people like solve problems in the car business. It's funny, like there's this stigma of like a car salesperson. Yeah. And there was a lot of that. So I learned what not to do, but some of them were like very good salespeople in the right way, like the good way, like where you're consultative and you want to try to understand what someone's looking for. And you don't just like kind of walk them in straight to the car and then sell something. And so that was my first taste of sales. And then the market just was so bad in 2007, 2008. The car industry started crashing. Everything was burning. I'm like, this sucks.
And nobody's hiring.
Yeah, no one was hiring.
Yeah.
So I put my resume with a headhunter, and he was like, look, I know you wanted to do something with the salaries, like, but I have this guy, and he's willing to train you on the mortgage industry, and maybe there's something there. It's commission only, but maybe you should meet with him. And I was like, I guess I'll meet with him, and that was it. I had this interview with him, and he told me about himself, all the success he had, and he's like, I'm going to give you the roadmap if you follow it. Right? Everyone remembers their first mentor in the business.
Totally.
Yeah. And so he was just like, this guy had like no filter. He was like very cool, very down to earth, had a ton of success in the business, and he's like, I'm going to show you what to do. And so that's how it started.
Him, right? You were like, I trust this.
Yeah. I'm like, fine, show me the way, and I will follow. And I did, and the rest is history. I spent 3 years with him, and then 12 and a half years with Wells Fargo.
That's awesome.
I ran private mortgage. Yeah. Okay. Ran private mortgage for Wells Fargo in Red Bank and Princeton, and then ran private mortgage for them in Manhattan.
Wow.
And so it was a great ride. And now I'm with Cross Country Mortgage. I just celebrated a year with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a testament back because I got in real estate world in 2007. If you can survive, and you got into the mortgages in, I guess, 2008.
Right then. Yeah, just about.
I give you both such credit because that would have scared the shit out of me.
It was so hard. You survived and you thrived. So that's amazing.
It's true. It was a good time. It's a good time to start when you start in the thick of like chaos and commotion. And we missed a lot of good times. Yeah. But yeah, that's funny that we started around the same time. Yeah. It's a great business.
The winter, as Tony Robbins calls that season of like that time.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you could thrive in that, you can pretty much do anything.
It's so true. Yeah. I love Tony Robbins, by the way.
Yeah. He's awesome. Speaking of, you were just at looked like a really cool conference. Was that your mortgage brokerage?
Yeah. Cross Country Mortgage did an amazing. So Cross Country, they're the number one distributed retail mortgage lender in the country. So number one in America. Super excited to work for them. Very progressive environment from products to marketing, and they do all residential financing and just like everything you could think of. That's awesome. It's just such a refreshing environment coming from Wells Fargo, and they did a big sales conference. So those are always great. Like you just get the shot in the arm. We had Barry Habib, Rick Rudy. We had Peyton Manning there.
I saw that. I was like,
And then Nellie came. Come on.
Where was this?
It was in Austin, Texas.
Oh my God, sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So my former life, I'm a corporate dropout. I was an event planner for legal for a very long time. But
cool.
I saw, your Instagram stories. I'm like, oh, they spent money.
Yeah.
Like, they definitely
Like, they did it right.
Not, cheap out on giving you guys a good time.
Yeah, you know what? First of all, thanks for telling me what you do, because I have like so many questions for both of you. We're talking about how I have to not be the host. So I'm like, I'm curious about both of you so much. But it's funny because our CEO, he started this company a little over 20 years ago. Him and like 6 people, and now they're the number one, lender in the country. But
how inspiring!
I think he like made money from this event. He had so many sponsors. They had one floor that was just all events about like different brokerages and everyone that we all the ancillary services we use.
That's awesome.
And then he had this merch store on one of the floors as well. I'm like, I bet he left this conference like making money selling merchandise. But we had the entire hotel. It was amazing. It was a really good time.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So in terms of your profession, I have found this past year I've worked a lot with first-time home buyers. So I was just curious if you have any advice kind of to offer any of our listeners who are thinking about, getting into getting their feet wet with real estate for the first time. I mean, it's scary. It's been, and if you listen to the news, they definitely scare the crap out of you even more. But just curious what advice you would share, with some of our first-time home buyers.
That's a great question. And aren't they like the best to work with, first-time home buyers?
To be a part of that, for them, their first purchase.
It's great.
Oh my gosh.
It really is. It's so rewarding. And I think we're all nervous the first time we make a big commitment. It doesn't matter what it is, right? And I remember buying my first home and feeling that way. Like I'd already been in the mortgage industry for a while, and I was like, oh my gosh,
But
like
you're
I'm
still scared.
Yeah, this is like I have to pay for this forever.
Oh my God, what am I committing to?
30 years. Like, how do we do it? So I think you get your mind wrapped around it by understanding that like it's an asset, and like if something changes in your life and something goes wrong, like you could always rent it out, you could always sell it, you could always have maybe a roommate move in with you or something like that. So there's kind of all these outs that you don't have with renting.
Yes.
With renting, the rent can go up, right? One year after the other. Usually it does. And
they could sell it.
Right. Or they could sell it and then you have to move, and you have the expenses of moving all the time. And so if you really do the math on like your first and last month and then your security deposit, it's like close to what a down payment would be.
Yes.
So financially it makes sense, right? You pay 100% interest on rent. You're paying 6% interest on a mortgage. Right. And I heard recently that out of the last eight election seasons, home values went up. There was only one year that it didn't happen, and that was 07, 08, back to that time.
Yeah.
And so like right now is a great time to buy because rates have moved down a little bit, and also you have the advantage of kind of knowing like history's kind of shown that values are going to go up after an election year. Right. And so I think the timing's great. And right now to stimulate the market, when we go through these economic cycles, there's always all this stimulus that happens. And so one of the big stimulus for first-time home buyers is to give them down payment money. Yep. So I have a client right now who, because in Monmouth County, if you make about under $160,000 a year for a household of 2, you can qualify for $15,000 down payment assistance through New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance. And there's nothing like tricky to it. I like to always say like if you're a first-time home buyer, that's it. So you go through the whole mortgage process. Amazing. The loan gets cleared, and then you go in and you apply to the state at that point. As long as you can show you're a first-time home buyer, it takes them about 2 weeks, and then you get that grant money. You can't sell or refinance in a 5-year period, so you can't pay it off. But like that's part of the deal.
Right.
And then
a
if you're
amount of time.
That's perfect. And if you're a first generation home buyer, you get up to $22,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I mean, just think about that opportunity. Like I wish they had that for us. I don't think any of us got that money when we bought our first home. So
and that's such a hurdle for the first time buyers is the down payment and the closing costs. So to have some of that, set up for them.
Yeah.
That's a big
huge. It's huge. And so that's another reason to buy. I mean, the best wealth creation that we'll ever see, most of us will ever see, is really in real estate. And if you can get in, and I don't think anyone will look back and regret it.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. And obviously it's the fall. It's a good time for you buyers. And if this is not a testament, to make you feel a little bit more comfortable. Yeah. And it's good to hear for folks to hear that a lot of the consensus I've been getting recently from people are like, well, it's an election year and
I
I'm
know.
nervous to buy right
Trepidation.
now.
It's a
And
lot
I'm
of
like,
trepidation.
but then nothing's going to happen.
Yes.
Go
This
for
is
it.
this is
Right.
when buyers should be a little bit greedy because
Yes.
people are being fearful. So go for it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
really good point. You're
yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
And the data shows it. Like the data shows that these during election years, your home values are going to go up. So
Yeah.
we'll be able to play this back
Yes.
and show like values today versus where they're going to be come March or April.
Right.
So yeah, get out there, get pre-approved, use an amazing agent, get locked in,
Yeah.
and just start making offers. It's 15 minutes to get pre-approved. It's very simple, and
I think people are so afraid of that. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
People are afraid of talking to a mortgage lender to get pre-approved, and I don't know if it's just because they're afraid of. I have a theory.
Yeah.
They want to afford X because they have champagne taste.
Yep.
But they're afraid of being told I can only afford this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
don't be afraid because that's
No.
okay. Like the power, is knowledge, or knowledge
Yeah.
is power.
Right.
so true. Yeah.
So
For every $100,000 today, it's about 500 to 550 a month. You can assume.
that's a good. I like
Yeah.
that. That's
So if you
awesome.
kind of try to do that, I always like to let buyers know that too, because sometimes they're like, I don't want to pay 10,000 more. I'm like, you realize 10,000 more is like $80 or not even.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's important.
Don't lose it. Don't
Yeah.
lose this great deal over something like that. Yeah.
Right. Right.
When you started out in the industry, and I feel like your, mortgages in general are pretty male-driven industry. Did you feel like you were like anyone gave you shit?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How did you deal with that?
that's a good question as a woman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true, right? It's I think like we are, and real estate's real estate had a little bit of a swing. I
Yeah.
think it used to be male dominated big time.
Yeah.
You listen to like Barbara Corcoran's story about her start, and it's really interesting. But yeah, I think look, over the last 15 years, we've had so much progression in this space. So I've been the recipient, I think, of a lot of the good that's come from diversity and inclusion. But there is absolutely something to overcome there as a woman in business, and I love seeing what women are doing now in business to support each other.
Yeah.
It's really incredible. I feel like the last few years there's like this big wave of like, let's help each other however we can,
Work
and
together.
yeah, because guys are really good at that, right?
Yeah.
They're like, let's go smoke a cigar, let's go play golf, and like, what do we do? We got to go like, let's go shopping, let's do something.
Let's do something.
Yeah, so
Right.
we have to be better at as women, like cheering each other on, rooting for each other, supporting each other,
Having
and
that safe space.
yeah, and getting together and like creating that friendship and like the good old girls club, so to speak.
Yes.
But yeah, there especially in leadership and management, I would say, like as a woman, like getting taken seriously and being comfortable speaking up. I had a conversation with a woman the other day that's on our team. She's a manager, and she actually came here with a group of people, and she was just explaining to me how like she's like, you know what, I'm just gonna do my thing, and she's like, I'm just gonna let them do their thing, and I'm gonna do my thing, and I was like, no, like you have to come forward, like you have to be present. Don't take a back seat. So I think it's been an experience. I would say like my advice to women is like just be who you are, be your authentic self, learn, I used to say like I kind of like learn my position. I think men and women have such a great dichotomy in business. And I think there's these they kind of like balance each other out a lot. So just know that you have a great voice and you have something to say, and it's really important. Like women in leadership specifically, women love working for other women, and there's a palpable difference there. And so, pursue leadership opportunities and know that like there's always something for everybody. Like, yeah, there's always like some people are scared that people don't want to work with them because they're too old or because they're too young, or, women's just kind of like another one of those things. So don't be too defined by it, and just know who you are and like kind of own that.
Yeah, walk in and set the tone.
Yeah, exactly
And
right.
speak up. I like that because I feel like we were kind of taught when we were younger to just
Well, like
not
you
cause
wallflowers.
ruffles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Don't cause ruffles and don't be difficult.
Yeah,
Like,
but you should speak up if
Yeah.
you want to get ahead or if you
right.
want to
I'm
express your
sorry,
opinion.
Squeaky wheels get the job done. You
Yes.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting. It's like I don't want to hold back too much. Like there's so many kind of examples I could use about women in business. And I remember when I first became a manager at Wells, there was someone that was like, I don't want to work for her. I don't want her to be my manager. And it really was for no other reason other than I think that I was a woman and maybe that I was young, but it was really that I was a woman.
Yeah.
And so I kind of always took this approach like I'm a servant leader. And so don't look at it like the old school way of leadership, like you do what you work for me. And like, it's more like, hey, how can I help you? Like, what can I do to support your business? And it's kind of like that tailored approach to leadership. I think that like men are starting to even appreciate too. Like, I'm here to support you. If you need something and you because you didn't keep it organized or you don't know how to do it. Like, I don't want to say it's like an assistant, but sometimes you kind of like dumb it down to people and say it's like it's a support opportunity.
Yeah.
A lot can come from it. Yeah.
And an open door. Yeah, I hate the term, but like an open door policy. Like, I'm here for you, man. Like,
Exactly.
Let me hear
anything
you
it is
out.
that you need help for, like, I got you. Yeah. And I think, people appreciate that. And I will say, I think I've been seeing that, coming from corporate, seeing that more. Because when I first started out in 2005, it was not necessarily like that. It
So
was just
open.
like,
Yeah.
You do it.
Yeah, you do. You're right. 100%.
And figure it out on your own kind of situation.
I feel like women make the best leaders because I feel like they can handle the critique or the like openness of it. Or maybe this me just being general, but sometimes I feel like, I don't know, with a guy, it's hard for you to give criticism or critique, whereas women would receive it.
Because we're so known, like, so emotional. Women are emotional.
Yeah.
I like to say empathetic. I think women are like they have a little bit. I don't like to stereotype too much. But I'd say like there's kind of like this pendulum almost, like, or a spectrum, right? So like there's the feminine and the masculine, but I think for the most part you see there's a lot of empathy in like the mom boss, right? Like moms have a ton of empathy. Moms make great leaders because they're great leaders at home, and so I think that the empathy that a woman leader will give you is just a little bit stronger.
Yeah, that's a great segue actually into what I was going to ask you. How do you manage also being a stepmom?
Yeah. You know what? It's been an amazing journey with kids, and especially like in this remote world, working at home with them. So they definitely pop up on a couple Zoom calls, as you know, and get in the back of like the video that you're trying to make. But I love it. I love that they get to see the day-to-day, like what work is like and what we're doing. And
I love that.
They want to like start their own little YouTube channels, and they're so into those things. And it's a cool dichotomy, like doing what we do. We're kind of like always working.
Yes.
And so it's interesting. Like sometimes we'll be in the car and I'm like, okay, nobody talk, like everybody's just got to be quiet for 15 minutes while I have this conversation. And then other days I'm like, you know what? I'm going to tell whoever this is that like, FYI, I'm in the car with my kids and you're going to hear them, and they might even want to like get on the phone and say hello to you. Like, just because you kind of have to embrace that, right? Like I'm at the soccer game, I'm on the field, I'm in the car. Like I could not answer. We could do that. Or you just kind of embrace it. Like, hey, I'm here with my family and you're still important. Your call's important because you don't want to like shut them down too much. And like, then you can't even walk around your home if that's the case. Like, everybody, here I come.
I love that shift. And I love that aspect, about, you run your own business in a sense, and you have the autonomy to do something like that. And I think it is a beautiful thing for all of our children to see, that you can balance it out. And, maybe there's a day you can't pick up the call,
right?
And that's okay. And
absolutely.
It's all good. So it's a balance, but we make it work.
It is. We do. We have to. And I think ultimately like clients on the other line, or, say it was a realtor calling me. We understand. Like this is what we do.
More in our head.
Yeah.
Right.
It's our own thing. Like, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm not professional.
Like so many times, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. My son's, they're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All I want to know is it's a good time or bad time.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
If you keep talking, we'll keep talking. If you can't, cool.
Right.
Call me back. I'm not taking it personal.
Yeah.
100%. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I have so much respect for there's so many mothers that work for me or with me, and I just have so much respect for like the woman that's like working all the time, doing the mom thing, doing it all, and it's hard.
It is.
It really isn't easy, but it's something where like everybody kind of plays their role.
Yeah.
But there's this one woman that works for me that I call her Superwoman, because she 3 kids, 2 you might maybe want to have her on too, but 2 twins, and she went through the mortgage industry like doing it all by herself, like all alone. So so I always joke she's like taking pre-approvals like at the soccer field and like always on the phone, and so it's shout out to the single moms out there too, because
I'm a single mom. But you know what, it's like your kids, that's what's up. You know, you make it happen.
Exactly. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So I want to know, like, how did Mom Boss get inspired? I'm here. I have to ask a question.
For sure. You know what? My coach at the gym one day just kind of like planted a seed because we're always, bullshitting about different things. And he's like, you should have a podcast. You have a lot to say. And I'm like, no one wants to just listen to me. And then I mentioned it to Danielle and she's like, yes, let's do it. We're doing this.
Forced myself on her.
And then of course it just made sense, like, for the three of us. And, it just one day sitting in my dining room, we kind of came up with the concept, and
so cool.
It has evolved in such a beautiful way. We've been very consistent with our episodes. We have interviewed incredible people. Like I think we all, and you probably feel like this too when you're done with a podcast, but I'm on a high for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
It's just like so much fun.
It's better than lunches and coffees, right?
Like talking about uplifting each other, and us women kind of coming together and doing, maybe we're not smoking cigars, but we're chatting about meaningful topics, and finding ways to like give
Connect.
each other. Yep.
Absolutely.
It's like therapeutic.
Yeah.
Such a cool concept. It really is. What makes me think of the what is it, Mom Talk? The new
We were talking about that in our last episode.
Were you?
Yes, Mormon Housewives. The Mom Talk.
I couldn't get through the first episode. I'll try again, but I just was like, I can't.
But they're a group of mom influencers who lifted each other up.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're making money doing it. So I feel like when you come together,
right.
the world, it's
But
unstoppable.
anything. Well, yes. We have a common goal.
Yeah.
Tell me more about American Dream TV. So is that you're highlighting certain locations and businesses?
Yeah. It's so American Dream TV. It's a Emmy nominated national television program. It's on all like the streaming platforms. Yeah, Travel Channel, Amazon Fire, Amazon Prime, Roku.
Yeah.
There's so many of them now. Apple TV.
Yeah.
So it's phenomenal. So they highlight different areas, different geographies across the country with incredible hosts that are in real estate or finance.
That's awesome.
And so you get selected to be a host. You have the opportunity to invite people on, like we're kind of like how you're doing. And most recently, we featured the owner of Watermark, Russell Lewis. We did Lorianne Sorrentino and Roger Mumford at their new site, The Rhythm in Asbury Park. Carrie O'Brien just joined us. I got to hang out in her backyard, which was
cool.
very inspirational.
Yes.
She's created such a really cool name for herself out there. We went around the Shrewsbury River.
That's awesome.
And so it's been a great thing to like open the door to like meet incredible people and to obviously spotlight them, right? You're and I'm sure you feel the same way. You're able to kind of give back through this a little bit.
Yep.
And how cool you're using, you said you went to school for communication.
Yeah, isn't
like
that
how
funny?
full circle.
It really, I say that all the time. It's really weird how it kind of all came together.
Yep.
So I'm really excited about it. Our next episode should be coming out the end of probably the end of November. And
How often do they come out?
it's every other month.
Okay. That's a good cadence.
Yeah.
Not too overwhelming.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not. Yeah, because it can be a lot,
I'm
right?
yeah.
If you're doing these all the time,
Yeah.
but
I'll have to watch it.
yeah, please do. It's and you
Absolutely.
can see the episodes on my YouTube on $1 Billion Banker on YouTube under that playlist for American Dream TV, and they're really great. It takes 2 hours to shoot, and it's like a 7-minute part of the episode. So it's really cool. But the people that join have loved it, and there's so many great hosts across the country, and it's an incredible concept.
Super cool.
I know, that's amazing.
Speaking of, I saw you had Dan. I always mess up their last.
Danzig.
Dan is it.
There you go.
Which
His parents are really messed up that they did that, huh?
I know.
Dan is it.
Danielle,
Obviously we work with Leo Fortis, and
Yes.
but love Dan. I mean, his energy is just
want it
incredibly
every day.
infectious, right? And you have to, to be an entrepreneur, you gotta be a little crazy, And I what he said just resonated about, kind of having like, and I'm sure we all feel the same way. Like sometimes the clouds.
Yeah.
Oh, they make the sun go away, and it's hard when you're in business, to keep a positive mindset,
So
but
true.
that was cool.
Yeah,
it was nice
great.
to hear that.
Yeah, he was a great guest to have on. I actually was originally I was like, maybe we should do a little podcast together, and I love his energy. We're 3 houses away, so I could feel it from my house. I feel his energy. We met at the bus stop. Yeah, our kids met.
Similar ages, right?
Yeah. Speaking of like parenting and moms, that's how we actually met. I was
cool.
at the bus stop, and his his twins are 1 grade above our kids, and we had the opportunity for them. They made friends, and then
That's so cool.
we're like, no way, we're all in the
worlds
business
collide.
together.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's all history from there. But it is interesting, like when you have a guest on that is really dynamic, that brings a lot of energy, it makes a big difference. And Danielle and I were just talking about this too, about how you could see, like, you want your viewers to like feel the energy, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And Dan just brings it. So
Did you 100%?
I have to listen. So that's billion,
It's $1 billion banker.
awesome.
Yeah, on YouTube. That's her handle. And speaking of, you have your beautiful fiance joining
Yes,
you here.
shout out to Daniela.
How did you guys meet?
Yeah, we mom together, which is amazing. I always say everybody needs a wife. And I'm very lucky to have Daniela. So we actually met 10 years ago. We met through friends that brought us together. And timing wasn't great then, but we really got along very well.
Yep.
And we always stayed connected. We really enjoyed our time with each other, and watched each other grow for about 8 years until COVID hit. And we reconnected. And it was great because she's originally from San Diego. That's where she grew up. And we're over here on the East Coast. So I'm very thankful for COVID because it gave us the opportunity to spend like 80% of our year in San Diego.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And,
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it's very cool. And actually last week, a year ago, we got engaged. So yeah,
Congratulations.
it's awesome. Yeah.
I love that you guys are friends first and have that history.
Oh,
I feel like
it makes such a difference, doesn't it? It's like they kind of know each other already, and you're comfortable with each other, and all the things we talked about in the beginning. A lot of stuff we talk about here is like, the books that you read and the things that inspire you, and we're both very growth minded, and so we love sharing those things. And I think you have to get connected on all those levels.
Oh, for sure.
And
especially as we're getting older. I mean, you have, that's what's important, not the vapid stuff.
Right. It's
And how
so
awesome
true.
for your family. Like, that's cool that you guys have similar goals and visions. And,
it is, because it takes an army, right? It's like a lot of us are. You need that supportive partner, and when you talk about like momming, like I'm sure it's that's why I always say I have so much respect for single moms. I don't know how they do it, because you're going to how many soccer games and
work is long days. I'm sure there's times
all day
where
long.
you're busy.
Yeah, it's tough. So yeah, having support is just it's amazing. Yeah, our kids are lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Well, I thank you so much for coming on today.
I'm so
really
happy
great
I came.
to chat with you.
Yeah, this is a great studio.
If you ever want us on, let us know.
Yeah, I would love to have you on. Podcasting has been such a great learning experience too. And I think, like, I was just talking to someone recently, like, it would be great, everyone out there that has a podcast, to kind of get together and share some ideas and strategies.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God, maybe we should host like an event, a
should.
regional event.
No, I
Right?
twist my arm for an event. I love
A Northeast route, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
wouldn't it be? Yeah, because there's so many. I just interviewed recently Dr. Tara Chalikani, who hosts a podcast with Gina. I forget. It's called the Well Off Podcast.
I'll have to check it out.
So we should connect with different
definitely.
people.
That would be so much fun to pull a little collective together like that.
Yeah.
Some cocktails and food.
It would be. And, like anyone out there that has questions about whatever it is, if it's I also own a construction company called New Jersey Construction.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we forgot to talk about
Where do you
that.
find time?
Yeah.
Oh my
well,
God.
like I said, I'm very lucky to have Daniela too and all her help. But yeah, so we're general contractor.
That's awesome.
We have a couple military contracts, Earl Naval Base and Cold Snack in Lakehurst. Yeah.
You are busy.
Yeah, we're starting an addition in Neptune right on
my God.
O'Hagan soon.
That's amazing.
And we do kitchens, bathrooms, you name handyman stuff. So if you ever run into home inspection challenges and you need someone over there to give you a roof estimate or anything, we could help you with that.
That's so good to know.
Yeah. And it's been fun. So it's kind of like marrying. I love real estate. I love this business. I love working with customers, and construction's like kind of in my DNA. My dad was a construction worker for a long time in the union in Manhattan, and so it's fun. My mom was a realtor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, talk about momming. She used to take me to Weichert Realtors in Old Bridge, New Jersey.
Route 9?
Yeah, I read
I
Route
grew
9.
up over there.
You
Yeah,
did?
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's where they moved after Brooklyn,
Wow.
and so my mom used to take me into the office with her, and she was like killing it. She was like this
The walk-ins
beautiful
are
Barbie
probably
doll.
amazing.
Yeah, I wish we could like edit in a picture of my mom's little. But she used to take me in, and we would like sing this song like whenever she sold a house, and so she used to joke and say like, "That's how you got into the mortgage industry." So I kind of feel like I've taken this blend of what my mom's done and my dad's done,
cool.
put it together.
See, the kids are listening and
That's
watching.
awesome.
Like,
Right? And maybe it was like all subliminal. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that you love it. I think that is what is important too.
Following the
you know?
passion.
Yeah.
So true. It's like you got to love what you do, and it sounds like cliche.
Yeah.
But
I love that you do different things too, because it shows that women and moms, you don't have to just be one dimensional.
No.
Like you have the job, you do the podcast, you host a TV, you have the construction, you're following what makes you happy.
Your dreams.
Yeah, and these things, like, to me, this is like almost like coaching. Like I love listening to podcasts because I always get something out of it, and I hope your listeners do too, because really I think like our goals are like to inspire other people, to help other people, and I think just sharing stories like this really does help. It's like, oh my God, like. She could do it, and we could even go further into like the diversity, being in business in general, having like diversity at all as a woman, as a mom.
Yeah.
And I just think hopefully anyone listening out there knows that like this is such a great career path to be on as a parent, as a mom. And so if you're like looking for something that could work, I think real estate and mortgage offers that.
100%.
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
I agree, because like I feel like you can go full throttle if you a season in your life where you need to pull back a little. Like you can kind of go as fast or
Yeah, like how many times have you taken your kids to a home inspection?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
My son's like
touring
he's gonna
houses.
Be,
Yeah, they know what to do.
Yeah.
It's gonna be funny. Like
turning on lights. Yes.
years from now, you bring them onto the podcast.
We had them on last year.
Did you?
They were
Yeah.
little and
Yeah,
chaotic.
our boys
Yeah.
came on, and it was chaotic to say the least.
He
I'll
keeps
send you
asking me when he could come
yeah,
back
Michael
on.
too. We'll
do it again.
We'll get
Yeah.
them on again. I'll have to send it to you.
That's
It was chaos.
yeah.
Was it?
It was great.
But in a good way.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's cool to expose them to that too, because I mean, honestly, you think about like one of my friends, her son now is like on Twitch, like playing Fortnite all day, and he's like literally making thousands of
Oh my
dollars.
gosh,
Like
from
it's
that.
incredible.
Like, comments,
Yeah.
commentating like what
Yeah, he's just like
okay.
jumping up and down, like playing
Excited,
games,
yeah.
and so they could on one screen see him play. Like we didn't do this when we were kids. We
No.
didn't watch people play.
Wow.
But they're obsessed.
So yeah, watching people play,
Yeah.
whatever they're playing, just we want to watch them.
Yeah.
Someone asked me the
So
other day, they're like,
weird.
"What do your kids watch on TV?" I'm like,
Other people.
"They don't watch TV.
Yeah.
They don't watch. They're like, what's their
No.
favorite show? Like, there are no shows,
I
right?
know.
Not
They
really.
won't watch. I'm like, turn on a cartoon or something.
Yeah.
They want to watch like Adley or like
Yes.
all these people doing crazy things and playing with toys. I
Yeah.
just don't get it.
I don't. I think it's far beyond
Yeah.
our
They
scope.
got their future.
Yeah.
Right? What are we gonna do? I don't know. We're gonna be in a really crazy world one of these days. But
Right, where our kids are like just thinking that the real world is like being recorded, you know?
we got to embrace it, though.
Yeah.
Yep. And like some kind of like school for them where they can learn about like how to really accelerate at these things.
I know.
Because,
There is money
I
to be
mean,
made.
could you imagine his kid's like 20 years old? He's
Right.
probably making better money than, a 6-year-old right now.
Yeah.
Just playing video games.
Yeah. That's
Gosh,
amazing.
don't you wish you'd get paid for doing something like that? Talk about loving your job.
Right, exactly.
Just having fun all day.
Like the
That's the
podcast.
goal
Yeah.
for Mom Boss Chronicles
So
someday.
keep listening
Yeah.
and subscribing.
This is so great. You guys have such an awesome studio. You
Thank
two are
you.
such dynamic hosts. I'm so happy that you had me here today.
Yeah,
Thank you for finding time in your busy day.
Yes,
Like
for sure.
everything you do, that's awesome. Thank
Appreciate it. Thank you for
You
having
guys can
me.
follow her, $1 Billion Bankers, on YouTube, Instagram, and you can take it from there. Thanks for joining,
Awesome.
guys. We'll see you
Thank you.
soon.
Thank you, guys.